Okay, if you've got a question, raise your hand. We'll start at the front there on the right.
Are you relieved to start at the point? Or are you disappointed not to have gone on to beat tonight?
Both. Relieved from the position at half time. Although I told the players at half time that I thought we could draw the game 3-3 or win it 4-3 or it might be 4-4. I wasn't not saying it because I'm clever now. I just felt that the few moments where we conceded in the first half were a mixture of our sloppiness and also some bad fortune. But I'll always be self-critical of sloppiness. But I felt that we were in the game. I felt that there were moments where Christian and Willian and our pressing off the ball meant that we were firmly in the game, and we just needed a bit more. We needed a bit more in the final third, and we needed to lift the spirit of the stadium. So I'm delighted with that part of it, and we're probably a bit disappointed in the last 10 minutes not to win it, but in the cold light of day we were 3-1 down, 4-1 down, so it was a good result on those terms.
It seems VAR is determined to haunt you every step of the way, Frank, with the goal at the end being ruled out and everything. I mean, as a player you played into big nights here. Can you tell us what it's like being a manager though? Is it harder actually being the manager or the player on those big nights? What do you think?
It's probably a little, say, harder being a manager. It's different, and your input in terms of on pitch to go and absolutely grab it and change it is feels less individually, but at the same time you're responsible. So what I do before the game, what I say at half time, and the changes I make maybe in game, make it that you're part of it. I mean, today it was just a mad one. I don't think there's too many I can even compare it to in my day. I know we had 4-4s with Liverpool and some crazy games, but the red cards and the VAR is obviously a new animal, and we're all getting used to that. And I'm not the only manager that's talking about it every week. Every manager is at the moment, and I can't give you any sort of dissection of all of those today, because firstly I need to watch it back and try and with a calm head and see them. And secondly, when you're on the sidelines, it's very difficult to grasp it straight away. But I'm delighted. Take VAR out of it and the red cards, etc. What I have to think about is us, and the spirit that we showed and the character was something that I loved, and I think our fans loved, and we need to tighten up for sure. But with that spirit, we can go places.
You said before you don't like comparing this team to the old teams and that, but that spirit that it showed, did it have echoes of when you were there in the pomp with all the greats?
I don't want to compare. I don't want to. I mean, we had. We know it. Everyone, Chelsea fan or person here today knows the stories that we had with Champions League, etc. and League. What we have to focus on is what we have in front of us now, and that for a performance like today, you need characters, personalities. At 3-1 down at half time, easy to turn it in. Even more easy to turn it in at 4-1 down and give it up. We never did. So I'll talk about the players I've got now. Keep saying it about the experienced players, the Jorginhos, cool head, driving the team, Kovacic, Willian, all of those. The young players, yeah, for sure, but Azpilicueta, those players really pushed tonight, and I loved it.
You changed at half time, did make an impact. I mean, what's it say about someone like Reece James at 19, not played hardly any Champions League football in his career, and yet he can go on and produce? Yeah, well, Reece is a fantastic young player, and he gives what you saw, and I think he'll get much better because he's 19. That's just normal. But I felt we needed to change to get a bit more for us on the right hand side, change it, get Aspie on the left hand side, and I think Reece can deliver crosses and with great quality, powerful and joins in. And he knows we've got Aspie there, he's our captain who plays right back, but there are things that we can do to change sometimes, and if Reece does that, then he's a great player. He's going to be a top player for the club. It wasn't an easy hit that either, was it?
No, he's got great quality, that's what I mean, and when you look at the modern fullback, the things that are required now to join in and be a threat going forward, and do some of the ones in the Premier League are doing it in an outstanding way, and hopefully Reece can do that for us.
How's Nathan doing?
Yeah, I don't know, he strapped his ankle, and we hope he's relatively minor, but that's one for the morning.
How's looking at it's hard to talk about statistics and stuff now, but where do you think this leaves you in terms? I mean, the group is now 3 teams on 7, and you go to Valencia.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. The Valencia game, the first game here, you kick yourself because a penalty and a draw maybe would have got us off to a decent start, and the group would have looked differently. But I think this group was always going to be quite tight because it was a feeling that teams could take points of each other. So we're in it. We've got 2 games now. We certainly have a lot of work to do, and we must focus on that for what it is. We need to go to Valencia, Lille come here, both of those very tough matches. We've got work.
Last two guys.
Do you think taking 4 points from these 2 games against Ajax will give the team more confidence when they go to Valencia?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I felt today that we could have won the game as well with respect to Ajax because they're a top team. But I think the performances we put on in Lille and in Ajax themselves in terms of travelling in Europe, which is always difficult to do wherever you go, should give us confidence. But every game's difficult. Valencia will feel the same. They've had a great result tonight, and they're going to sniff the fact that they could go through as well. So it'll be a whole new tough challenge that we'll have to take on.
Your man is not.
I don't know. I mean, as I say, it's hard to put it in perspective and one to watch back. And as I say, I had some mad nights over the years and some great nights. But for everything that it was today, the spectacle that it was, and then it's certainly right up there.
Aged a few years, maybe.
Thanks very much.
Inside, I think.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Bob.